Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Monday, March 23rd. And if you didn't realize, it was the first day of spring last Friday, and I am loving the weather here in Colorado. It's March. I've said this for a few years, my favorite month, and the weather is proving me right once again.
But this is not a typical March. It's so much warmer than usual.
This is what I think of when I say March is my favorite month.
You
I
think
have
of this?
the plum blossoms are blooming.
Oh,
All the stuff is coming up. The grass is pushing through the soil. Spring has sprung, and I'm just ecstatic. I love spring.
I love spring too. Spring, summer, fall, and this last year, I loved winter too.
I haven't heard you complain about winter in years.
It's been a few years. The happier I get, those things don't matter.
Isn't that something? We have these things in our lives that bother us so much, but it was really our experiences that have nothing to do with that. Are playing on our emotions. We're upset, and it's like, gosh, I just wish it could be sunny outside so I could go outside and enjoy my day, but it's so cold. But then as other problems solve themselves, even the things that bothered us before don't bother us anymore.
That is so true. So today we're back with Terry Cole's book, Too Much.
Yes, it's our month of codependency, and I've really enjoyed this month. It's opened my eyes to the codependent experience. Of course, you being the resident codependent, I've seen it in action, but this book, Too Much by Terry Cole, has given me further insight that has helped me have more understanding.
Now in chapter 4, which is where we're going to begin today, we're going to hit the highlights more than go through it all. It starts out with this story about a pediatric nurse. Her name's Dina. And Dina is a high-functioning codependent. Stories such as Dina's are a little bit of a struggle for me to read because I get my panties in a twist, so to speak.
Do you get triggered?
Well, no, I get frustrated with her husband, who in my mind takes advantage of her, but she allows it to happen. And that's where I want us, if you have the book, to turn to page 87. There's a section called Enabling and Underfunctioning. Now, we haven't been reading much of Terry Cole's book on the podcast. I am going to read parts of this page. The high-functioning codependent need to control and overfunction can enable and inspire chronic underfunctioning in others. We teach others that we will manage their stuff so they don't have to. This is a form of enabling. And if you are a client of ours, you will probably recall that Ada and I will frequently say enabling is not love. It is not loving. We commonly think of the term enabler in the context of addicted relationships. For example, a mother giving her drug-addicted son money, essentially closing her eyes to his serious problem. He doesn't have to feel the pain of his own actions, and his mother can stay in her bubble of denial. When overfunctioning outside the context of addiction, many HFCs do not recognize themselves as enablers, and yet they are. Codependency and the enabling behaviors that go with it inadvertently prolong undesirable situations thanks to a driving need to make sure that nothing bad happens. That's what I want us to focus on. When we think of high-functioning codependents, what they're trying to do is control the outcome, but not control the outcome so everything goes their way. They're really, remember, this is a trauma response. They're really trying to make sure that nothing bad happens. Now, this is Terry Cole going on. As we've illustrated, this is faulty reasoning because controlling others in the external world will not calm the storm within. It's your job to create and hold on to your inner peace. If you continue to clean up the fallout from a loved one's bad choices, they may never hit their bottom and find their inner grit they need to make serious changes in their lives. Preventing others from facing the real consequences of their problematic behavior creates long-term issues. There's no impetus to change. In working with couples in my therapy practice, Terry Cole speaking, I've also seen a perfectly capable person turned into an underfunctioner because their partner continued to insist that they, quote unquote, had things covered, which ultimately created resentment for both parties. I want to focus on this section of chapter 4 because as a coach, I've seen this in many different forms. As a high-functioning codependent, I've lived this. What I want us to understand is we may think that what we're doing in our high-functioning codependent behaviors is making life better. But remember, it's a trauma response. So it's not necessarily making life better. What it is it's making us feel like everything is okay. Everything is in control. It is a nervous system coping strategy. But it doesn't work in the long term. In fact, what she's saying here is it creates more serious problems because then the other person starts to resent or the other people start to resent, or we get ourselves into the underfunctioning behaviors because we can't sustain what we're trying to do.
I wish I knew this so long ago. I had to figure this one out on my own. Well, okay, I'm going to use you, but it took me years to figure out, oh, you're just not wanting bad things to happen, so everything feels okay. And there was always that part of me that knew, like, okay, you're not a controlling person. I knew that, but it confused me. Like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't get it. I didn't understand it all. And then seeing these words in black and white, I knew that subconsciously. That makes total sense. But I wish I knew that, not to then get codependent with you and say, okay, well, no, I'll make sure everything's okay. But more like, Mom, it'll be fine. Like, we're going to work it out together. If anything bad happens, we're here, 2 peas in a pod. We'll figure it out. It'll be okay.
I want to talk about how you can become an underfunctioner because I think people get confused with that. How can a high-functioning codependent become an underfunctioner? What you do as a high-functioning codependent in this enabling underfunctioning scenario is that you don't take care of what you really need to be taking care of. You go and you help all the other people or get down into their muck and mire, as opposed to keeping your eye on your life, on what your priorities are. Remember, you can't give from an empty well. If you're a high-functioning codependent and you have been for years, your well has been pretty empty. And when our well is empty, then we're not showing up as the best version of ourselves. We may not even know who we are or what we enjoy, just like we talked about last week. We may not know how we want our eggs. Please know that if you are noticing these high-functioning codependent characteristics in you, and you had this habit of enabling others, doing for them what they could and should be doing for themselves. Many times we're doing this for our spouses, we're doing this for adult children, we're doing this for coworkers and neighbors. Somebody says they need something and here we go, we're just going to do it all. Many times we're taken advantage of. But remember, we are in control of what we do. We are in control of what we give to others. And I will say it again before we say goodbye today. When you enable someone, you are not coming from a loving space. You are coming from fear. Enabling is not love. It's not love to you. And it's certainly not love to the receiver of your enabling.
Let's make that our intention for today. As I go throughout my day, I will keep in mind enabling is not loving. As I go throughout my day, I will keep in mind enabling is not loving. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.